Hello friends, Fidel Fernandez for Doc Cholo's blog. Here we are again for Kali exercise. Okay, it's been 10 months that I have been posting some videos regarding Kali exercise. The Kali exercise, by the way, is an exercise derived from the Filipino martial arts called Kali. And I've done 10 months from 2023, and here we are 2024. And if you have noticed, I did the whole 10 months with demonstrations and uh, and sequences how I do Kali exercise. But then again, we can't avoid. There are 774 subscribers now, and thank you very much. You know who you are. And there have been some requests about like how do we start doing this, and there are some interest coming from our subscribers and those who follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And I said I think I'm going to make use of 2024 for tutorials instead of just showing demonstrations, sequences, and so on. So this time I'll go by lessons. Okay, so I hope those who are new would be able to follow us in lessons, and I'd like to entice you to follow us through the lessons. Okay, because I'm going to make detailed description of how we are supposed to do it. Okay, how we are supposed to do each and every techniques and concepts that I have shown you in the past 10 months. Okay, so I've been meeting with a group of guys here locally, and we are going to form a group, a Kali group. Okay, so here I'd like to start it and put in a video form, like tutorials starting from the very basic to advancing progressively as we go on. Okay, so this time let me do this. This is my first post on my tutorials. Okay, now let me call it tutorials now. Okay, and I'll start with answering and responding to the question, how do we start? So how do we start doing this, what we call Kali, or Kali exercise for that matter, or just plain and simple Kali? How do you start? Okay, first I advise those who ask me this, well, first get yourself a rattan stick, a pair of it. Okay, and we'll be using first of all the single stick first, and I'd like you to plan out getting a bolo, because we cannot avoid using and showing you the bolo. I'll show you later on why not. So I advise those who are interested in learning Kali my way, okay, to have a bolo at hand, because I'd like you to have an experience using the bolo and also the stick. They are handled differently. Okay, so by the way, we are calling this Filipino martial arts as Kali, and we just connect the word exercise to it, because so, in people like me who are seniors, okay, I do this plainly for exercise, not really to become a sportsman or so. Okay, but the concepts that I'm going to show you here are the concepts of a Filipino martial arts called Kali. Now, since it's a Filipino martial arts, I'd like to change how we approach the terms used in Kali. So here I will be avoiding Spanish terms. You will note that most of, or if not all of Kali tutorials and instructions on YouTube or elsewhere use the terminologies or Spanish words as terminologies for this. I'd like to give justice to that term Filipino martial arts, and so from this time onwards I'll be using terminologies coming from the Visayan language, where I actually learned concepts with. So okay, so I'd advise, if you have experience in learning Kali, I'd like you to pour it all out first. Make your vessel empty, and let's start anew. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. Don't try to counter or make a conflict with what we have, but I'm going to show you my way. Okay, my way, and you will find out later on that the way that I am tutoring, the way I'm instructing you how to do it, will be much simpler. Okay, so if you learned some Kali moves from someone else, we respect that, but then again, I'd like you to first of all lay it down, and let's start from zero. Okay, so if you have gotten a pair of rattan stick, I'd like you to take hold of one. Okay, so this is the first lesson. We call this Kurus. Okay, Kurus, Kurus, or in English it's called cross. Kurus is how we say it in the Visayan language. In Spanish they call it X, and I'm trying to avoid the Spanish terms. We call it Kurus. So why? Because it's actually the first lesson that I want you to understand, and the basic foundation. Okay, so lesson one, Kurus. It's how, let me demonstrate it to you slowly, instructing you how we do it in detail. Okay, Kurus means you draw a a big letter X, a big X in front of you, okay? And I'd like to show you how I do it, okay? That's a big S, that's a big X, or Kurus, okay? First, I'd like you to understand about the wrist, okay? You'll note that the wrist doesn't move. So once you swing it this way, you'll note that the wrist doesn't move. It's the same up to the point when the point of your stick is facing, and then you turn it until you turn it to return to the opposite side, okay? Okay, that's the first thing. And I'd like to tell you why. Okay, there are 3 wrist movements in relation to how we strike downward. How we strike downward. There are 3. Let me start from this one. This is how we use the bolo, or a sharp-bladed instrument, okay? Bolo, we don't, from here, we go down and do this, okay? And then we turn it once the point reaches a point where we have to turn it back and return, okay, the path back to the opposite side, okay? Now, I have a bolo. I'm going to show you why. Okay, in a bolo, when we strike, that's the edge, okay? And you have to maintain the edge, cutting edge. It's a slicing action, okay? Slicing action this way. It's slicing, okay? Okay. That's the slicing action. The other one is, okay, the other one is chopping or hacking. The chopping move is like this, okay? There's a wrist motion. Okay, that's the wrist motion. There is movement of the wrist. And the 2 types of wrist actions are intended for different purposes, okay? When we do a slicing action this way, you maintain the form of the wrist, and it's intended to slice, okay? And most of our Kali moves using a bolo is done this way, okay? If we do this, okay, it's used to chop. Chopping meaning, when you chop, it's intended to cut. Like you cut a trunk, banana trunk. When you harvest the banana tree, you cut the trunk and you use the chopping motion. You use the chopping motion. Okay. Okay. Now the third move is actually this way. Okay. Chopping motion is this forward. This is a different way, okay? This is showing you that the contact point for the bolo is actually in the side. Okay? Okay? Just to clarify. But mind you, most of the things that most of the moves, striking moves downward for a bolo is actually slicing, okay? Okay, let me show you. Okay, so first lesson, concept, put in mind that your first thing that you have to understand, that you have to practice, is the X. So, to answer the question, how do I start? Get a stick, start swinging with a figure of X. Okay, so what? Try to put, okay, a straddle stance, meaning say you have about 2 feet distance between legs, parallel, and try to draw figure of X, X figure, or Kurus. Okay, just do it first slowly, then slowly strengthening your action. No, put effort to it, and I hope you can understand that I'm doing it with full extension. Okay, there's a momentum where you start it with an angulated elbow coming from here, and then you start to extend your arm going down, and then turn, okay, and do the opposite. That's how you do it. Okay, so do this move until you are comfortable with it, until you think that you're doing correctly. Okay, until you are doing it correctly, then you progress with making it a quicker move, making it faster, and maybe stronger. And that's the exercise where it comes. That's how the exercise comes in. Okay, I suggest that you do this first with the first way of using it, slicing motion. And I want you to notice that it doesn't break, okay? It doesn't stop. Make a continuous follow through, and then turn with a smooth circular motion. A smooth circular motion doesn't stop. Okay? So after knowing the wrist movement and how your hand moves, extending your arm, okay? After that, I want you to notice that my body goes along with it. My body. Okay? See? And I'd like to explain that my body is shifting its weight. My body shifts the weight before my body moves first, split of a second before my arm follow. And my body actually moves towards the direction of my strike. Like if I want to strike to the left, my body moves first and the strike follows. Okay? So please consider and take note that you have to be serious about how you do it, okay? When you strike, it follows. That's a basic move. When you strike, your weight moves towards the direction of your strike. Okay. Another thing, okay? Another thing. Your hand is not useless. Even with just one stick, your left hand, your weak hand has a role. Okay, it follows. Actually, the movement of the left hand goes along with the shift in the weight, shifting weight. Like for example, if you strike to the left, your left hand goes along with it. Okay, it guides you where your path goes, where the path of your striking arm goes. Okay, and if it goes to the opposite end, it goes along with your move downward. Okay, I hope you can see that. You start slowly and you progress using a regular rhythmic motion, and you increase the speed and the strength of how you strike, thinking about maintaining the form of the wrist and the extension of your arm and the shifting of your weight along with the guidance of your weak hand. So that's how it is supposed to be. So okay, so the next move is, once you're comfortable with doing this, I'd like you to try to move forward and sideward and backward. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay, you want to move forward, same thing, shifting of the weight. Okay, okay, so these are the first lesson, and within this week we probably will progress to lesson 2. For now, I'd like you to practice, seriously practice, with effort given and without looking at the past on how you learned to use Kali. Okay, this kind of Kali is simple. We don't count, okay? I don't count. When you do the actions, we don't count. I go by feeling. And if you believe in me, you may do the same. Counting is good, but it's too elementary. So what I want you to do is count by feeling. Once you are comfortable with doing it and you think that you are doing it correctly, all the elements of the right way to do it are there. Okay, starting from the action of the wrist. Okay, see the direction of the ball actually doesn't change until you change direction, and the smooth rounded motion before you turn it to the other direction. Okay, okay, that's it. And the shifting of the weight, try to do it. It goes before you strike. It goes before you strike. And the shifting of the weight comes together with the movement, reciprocal movement of the weak hand in the direction of where you intend. Okay, where you intend. Later on, you'll know that the weak hand will also be a guide, like in other moves. Going up, going up, going to the side, going to the side, going vertical. Okay, vertical going to the side, and you will note that the left hand is a precursor. The move of the weak hand actually precedes when you use two sticks. Okay, when you use two sticks, if you have done Kali the right way, like how I'm telling you, then you probably won't have a problem using two sticks. Okay, because actually you will come to realize that it's the same thing. Okay, so when you use two sticks, you're going to recall that the left hand actually, or the weak hand actually, has an important role in teaching you how to do the two sticks. Okay, okay, so that's the first lesson. We'll have another lesson maybe in a few days. Okay, and first of all, the first thing to do is be sure to do it the right way. Okay, let me show you using a ball. Okay, so it's be careful when you use the ball. Do it first slowly until you are comfortable that you are safe. One of the reasons why I recommend the use of bolo is that you will be aware that the bolo is not anything. It's not an ordinary thing. It's a dangerous thing, and you have to be well versed in using a bolo. Okay. So first I'm doing it slowly, and mind you, it's not yet time for you to use ball. But if you can acquire something like this. This is, by the way, Pinuti, okay? It's a bolo coming from Cebu. And so if you can get any form of any kind of bolo is okay, as long as you can use it. Not now, maybe later when you are well versed with using the stick. Okay, so that's about our lesson for today. Okay, some trivia. Let's answer some trivia. Okay, okay, why is it that we need to change the nomenclature, how we call the names? Okay, and we will, as we go forward, call the names in a Visayan language. Okay, so that's the first lesson, Kurus, meaning to say we are doing a pattern called cross in English, cross, or X in Spanish. Some tutors of our niece call it X. I call it Kurus, to justify that this is a Filipino martial arts. What's arnis? Arnis, actually, they call it arnis de mano. It is an arm using the hands. This is arnis de mano. Arnis means arm or armor. It's used to defend and to attack. When we call it arnis de mano, it's an arm handled by your hands. So this is the arnis, but this is a bolo. We call the moves here as kali. Okay, the word kali is taken from the word kalis. It's a kind of a bolo. It's a kind of a knife. Okay, it's a kind of a knife, and the art that goes along with it is called kali, a Filipino martial arts. Eskrima is the act of sparring. When we spar to practice using the stick or anything else with a sparring, that's called eskrima, taken from the word a Spanish word eskrima, or fencing. Okay, so what's kali? This is kali. This is kalis. Actually, it's called kalis. It's kalis, you know, K-A-L-I-S. And why is it called kali instead of kalis? Because in Spanish, the letter S is actually minimized. So something like, if you say de los Reyes, the S in the end is actually minimized. We don't hear the S much in Spanish. De los Reyes. Okay, and that's why it's called kalis. Locally, it's called kalis, the bolo. But foreigners call it kali because they don't listen, they don't hear the S. It's actually kalis. Okay, so it's a kind of Spanish translation of the word kali, kalis. They forget the S. Okay, it's like, for example, the letter D is also lost in Spanish. Like, for example, universidad, for us, university, universidad. But in Spanish, in real Spanish accent, they lose the letter D. So it's universidad. Okay? And it's the same process. When they say Kali, it's because they don't hear the S. And it has been it has been handed from generation to generation. And what we hear is what we say and share. So we hear it spoken of by the Spaniards as Kali. Actually, Kali, with an S. Okay, these are some trivia that you ought to understand, my friend. There are historical write-ups. They say that Kalis is taken from Kamut Sans. Kamut Lihok Kali. Kamut Lihok. Well, maybe because the terminologies are Visayan, taken from the word from Visayan words. Okay, maybe, but I really doubt it. It's about how Spaniards translate it. Kali. Okay, so those are the things, folks, and I hope you can join me. I hope you can learn more about what Kali is all about. I really don't know. I haven't heard much. Actually, I never heard. I've been trying to take a look at YouTube videos about Kali, and there are a lot of nomenclature there. There are a lot of opinion and things being said and comments about what Kali is all about. And you're here for my own side, okay? Not to put down any of the tutors or tutoring, but this is how I learned Kali, and this is how I'm going to share everything to you, okay? So thank you very much, and please do some comments. I want to listen to you. I'll maybe this week, at the end of the week, maybe I'll probably go on live and maybe see you, maybe take a look at what you can share on a live broadcast on YouTube. So those are the things that you ought to understand. Please continue on and finish the video so that you can learn more, okay? So this is the start. We are going to have tutorial, so watch out for lesson 2, still on basic moves of Kali. Happy New Year to you, 2024. Bye-bye.